When we look at the UK drill scene and its numbers, it's clear to see who's at the top of the game right now. With Central C hitting #1 in the charts with his new mixtape 2-3, and Digga D securing features like Moneybagg Yo, no one else in the UK scene is really doing what they're doing right now, which becomes even more interesting because these two have a long history and not a good one. What's up guys, it's your boy Kid Nerd back with another video. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment below what you think. Let's get into it. So today, we're taking this story to West London, which is probably the weirdest part of London for so many reasons. So on one side here, we have Digga D, who's from Ladbroke Grove, which is located in the borough of Kensington and Chelsea, one of the richest and poshest boroughs in the whole of the UK. But the borough also has the second highest crime rate in London. Famous Ladbroke Grove rapper AJ Tracy explains how it is living in the area in one of his interviews.
An area where we're living in estates and flats in which that sometimes we don't even have enough to pay the electricity bill, and right across the road there's a family where the youngest daughter, who's 9 years old, has a Rolex on.
Central C was also born in Ladbroke Grove, but is a couple years older than Digga. But Central C moved around 5 minutes away from Grove to an area called Shepherd's Bush, another quite notoriously dangerous area in West London, and you will soon learn why this location switch for Central C was important in his feud with the rapper Digga D. Now Digga D and Central C actually went to school with each other. They both attended Chelsea Academy School in West London, but Digga D got kicked out of school in the start of year 8, so the pair didn't really have many run-ins with each other at school. And Central C was quite quiet and low-key in school, so he probably wasn't easily noticed. But from school, both rappers took completely different paths. Central C from around 2015 started trying to launch his music career with a song on the music platform called Street Heat, and he even managed to get onto a remix with big East London rapper J Hus in early 2015. Around the same time, he had to support his family, and with his music career not launching yet, he had to get it in another way. He previously had a job at a shoe store but left less than a month in, and just like many other kids in London, he started the cycle of going to OT to make some fast money. On the other side, in 2015, Digga D started getting his face more beta on the roads. Back in 2015, Shepherd's Bush and Ladbroke Grove actually used to be part of one gang called 916, alongside some other areas in West London, and you can even see a young Digga in the 916 music video from the rapper John 5 in his song Ain't Scared. But in 2016, internal disputes inside the 916 gang split the whole group apart, creating several different break-off batches in West London. The 916 members from Ladbroke Grove broke off and continued to use the name 916, but eventually started repping the name 1011, which represented the two postcodes across Ladbroke Grove, which are W10 and W11. And 916 members from Shepherd's Bush divided into two different sets called 12 World and 12 Anti. The same year, Digga D dropped his first music video called Hella Bands, where you can see other 1011 members, and that was the start of what we know Digga D to be now. Throughout 2016 and 17, putting on other 1011 members onto his tracks, and 1011 started to blow up faster than anyone in the scene at the time. You may be asking why they blew up so fast. 1011 were really the first UK drill group to have no filter at all, literally just saying the hottest stuff on beats, describing specific events quite graphically, which is something drill rappers didn't really do to the extent at that time. But one of the main reasons for 1011's blow up was the constant mocking of a murder which took place in 2017, an opposition member called T-Wiz. So it was April 2017, early in the afternoon, and T-Wiz had just stepped out of his house in Norfolk, West London, which is an op block to the 1011 gang. T-Wiz was then approached by two guys from an opposing gang called Rayners Lane, who are linked with 1011, and once they spotted T-Wiz, they stabbed him in the stomach and ran from the scene. T-Wiz then tried to run to a nearby alleyway around 100 yards from his house, but collapsed and died. Digga D and 1011 would mock T-Wiz's death in pretty much every song, so two men were put on trial for the murder, one being a guy who went by the name T-Rose, but both guys actually ended up beating the murder charge due to claims of self-defense. After beating the case, T-Rose then went on and made a drill song not only mocking T-Wiz's death, but he went and reenacted the murder in the music video. But stuff started getting hot for T-Rose, so he went and moved around 3 hours away to the north of England, in a town called Telford. That didn't stop anyone, cause T-Rose was shot 5 times and killed in broad daylight, even after moving to the other side of the country. But let's take it back to 2017. The beef between Digga D's 1011 and Central C's Shepherd's Bush was getting serious. During this, Digga D really started making a name for himself, with his tune called No Hook and his Next Up track starting to rack up some big views. And even though all of his songs would be featured by other 1011 members, it was clear Digga was the star of the group, and he even started to attract a lot of international attention to the UK drill scene. But with the constant release of diss tracks, the beef was only becoming hotter, which eventually caught up to Digga and 1011 members. While all of this was going on, Digga's gang, 1011, had been getting investigated and tracked on every movement they made. On the 9th of November 2019, Digga and 4 other members were riding out when their car got stopped near Portobello Road in Ladbroke Grove. Digga tried to make a run through it with his face covered, but he didn't get far and was taken down and arrested by the police, where he was found with a large machete down his trouser leg. 1 more machete, a knife, and 2 baseball bats were also recovered in the car or on the members. All 5 members were sentenced to conspiracy to commit violent disorder, with the older members receiving prison sentences. But Digga D at the time was only 17, so got a lighter sentence of a year in a detention unit. Originally, the members stated that the weapons were for props for a music video, but after the piled up evidence, they all pleaded guilty to their charges. And this could have very much been the beginning of the end for Digga D. They even played his music at court, where they showed he referenced real life unsolved crimes in his area, which caused the police to get YouTube to take down most of Digga D's songs, including his Next Up, which was one of the most viewed UK drill songs at the time, with 11 million views, even putting Digga D on Channel 4 News to make an example of him to others. Digga was also slapped with a criminal behaviour order, which prevented him from writing lyrics on his rivals and mentioning dead people like T-Wiz. This was quite a turning point for UK drill, because after this we started seeing more and more drill songs getting taken down, which started to cause drill artists to water down and censor their lyrics to stop this from happening. Then on October 8th, 2018, Digga was fresh home.
Boy, for nasty. What, you get me?
But it just seemed like he still couldn't keep himself out of trouble. Now this is where Central C now gets involved in this story. Now at this time in 2018, Central C was starting to build a steady name for himself. He was already blowing up on Instagram with his unique type of drip and his pretty boy looks. But his music wasn't quite blowing up yet, with a more wavy type of sound, which was kind of what everyone else was sounding like at the time. But what happened on the 30th of November 2018 might have been a big reason due to his quite drastic career and sound change. So Central C alongside his brother and some other guys were posted up near a Sainsbury's store on Davisville Road in Shepherd's Bush when they were approached by 2 males. They started getting into some sort of verbal altercation. One of the males pulled out a knife and stabbed Central C's brother just under his left shoulder and then cut from the scene. Central C and his brother then went inside the Sainsbury's store where the police came and they started to treat the wound. 2 men were arrested for this, one of the men being Digga D. Digga D and his friend were eventually released due to lack of evidence, and Central C went kind of MIA for a little while, but Digga just couldn't stay out of trouble. On January the 2nd, 2019, at around 7 PM, police was called to Harrow Road in West London due to a large fight between around 20 people. Harrow Road is the area of another West London popular rapper called Fredo, and also happens to be another area Digga has conflict with. After this fight, it was reported that 2 men were stabbed from the altercation. Digga, along with 2 other 1011 members, Savo and ZK, were arrested alongside some other members of the HRB gang, who was on the other side of the conflict. Digga was arrested and sent back to prison for 2 years and 6 months. Luckily, before Digga went inside, he had already finished up his debut album, Double Tap Diaries, and recorded some music videos to some of the tracks. This album is kind of what blew him up to the next level, because before this, he didn't have that many solo songs. He released a music video to his hit song, No Diet, on April the 18th while locked up. The song done big numbers and is currently on 26 million views, setting him up for a lot of hype for when he comes out. Digga ran into some issues though while inside prison. He was stabbed in one of his eyes, making him partially blind. Then on the 22nd of May 2020, Digga D is fresh home once again.
Oh my god, this is beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm emotional, guys. I'm emotional.
And comes out with one of his biggest songs yet, a song called Why. This wasn't too far after Central C dropped his first big song as well, called Day in the Life, which put Central in the limelight. And Central C went from strength to strength in 2020, getting numbers in everything and anything he dropped. But he really took off after dropping his hit song Loading, which is now on 80 million views. Even Digga D was seen listening to him in one of his Insta lives. And it seemed like Digga didn't really have that many personal issues with Central C at the time, but Digga did have problems with a lot of the people in Central C's music videos and people around him. Central C has many members of the 12 anti-gang around him, which obviously has conflicts with Digga D's side. Not only this, but Central C featured on a song with the West London rapper Fredo, who is from an area which historically has always had problems with Digga's area. Ever since then, Digga has been moving kinda wild, talking about the situation with his brother back in 2018 in a couple of unreleased songs. But it seemed like Central C wasn't trying to reply to any of Digga D's disses and not give the situation any type of limelight, until recently when he dropped his new mixtape called 2-3. On one of his songs called End of the Beginning, he sends for Digga D's ex-girlfriend called Tennessee, when he says, "I wanna hit Tennessee and I don't mean Nashville." Digga responded to this on his Insta, pretty much saying why is he sending shots to his ex and not him. But when we look back at Central's life, it makes sense why he hasn't really replied to Digga, literally just from the fact he's not really involved in all of this beef the two areas have. Obviously it seems like the two have had their own little bit of history, but I think Central C is just at a point of his career where he just wants to go clear and live in peace. Like, this guy could easily clear 10 million views a video at this point and is building a fan base all over the world. He's literally a walking, living potential Hall of Famer in this rap game. He doesn't need to be involved in all that street stuff. With Digga, it's all a bit different. Digga has kind of thrived off his controversy and bad boy image, and that works for him. That's his audience. When we look at Central C's career, he's getting them big views from his songs like Commitment Issues and Obsessed with You, songs for and about girls. So this whole gangsterish type of route he's dabbling with now, in my personal opinion, I think he needs to scrap it. And he could potentially turn into the first international pop star to come from UK drill. Anyway guys, let me know what you all think about this situation. And of course, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It's been your boy Kid Nerd, and peace out.